Hello, my name is Tony Berard, and today I'm going to do a video. Uh, Basically, it's going to be a fireside chat. I'm waiting for my dice chess game to come in, and so uh, since I don't have any real pressing issues right now, I'll do the fireside chat. And so my topic today is going to be about the complexity of my board games. And so I have my sheet of paper here for the fireside chat. I have several of my games available on www.thegamecrafter.com. Fighting Checkers is on there. So if you put Fighting Checkers in the search box, you'll find it. Go 12 is on there. Actually, I have Fighting Checkers right here. This is what the box looks like. It's a 10 by 10 board. Here's the board itself. You get two sides. And you get 40 of these white cubes, 40 of these black cubes, 40 of the black, or 5 of the black stars. And there's a white star. 5 of the white stars. These are the crowns. When you king a regular checker, you can replace it for a star. But I made videos on that already, and that's a great game because you can move 2 pieces at a time. Go 12 is right here. This looks like a Go board because it is a Go board, except for one difference. I boldly said that people will understand that this is a letter I and not the number 1. In regular Go, it goes from 1 to 19. But this goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T. Which to me is stupid. Well, I shouldn't bash other people's work. I mean, they did what they did for a reason. They thought that would be confusing. So I shouldn't be quite so critical. People could be critical about my work. Wouldn't be correct, but but they could be critical. Anyway, there's Go 12. It's the board game invented by Tony Berard. That's me. So I have this. You get this board in the box. Every board. It's the same thing on both sides. And so the board will last quite some time, because if you wear out one side, then you get the other side. You get 181 of these white cubes and 180 of these black cubes. You can see a noticeable size difference in the cubes between Fighting Checkers and Go 12. It's because I had to get them smaller to fit on this board, because there's, you got to fit 19 on a board. And here you have to fit 10. So these can be bigger. When dice chess gets here, these are going to be even bigger. They're going to be 16 millimeter cubes. So it's going to look really nice. All right. Getting to the topic now of complexity. I have one other point of business. YouTube's only criteria for success is the number of subscribers that you have. So if you could click that subscribe button, that would be great. I would like to become a YouTube partner, and so you got to get to 1,000 subscribers to do that, and then you become a partner. So right now, last time I checked, I had 7 subscribers. So I have 993 to go. So if you could click subscribe, that would be great. I would appreciate it. Thank you. All right, now we'll talk about complexity. These let's say chess is our base complexity. And so fighting chess, since it has exactly the same pieces and exactly the same board size, you would get the same number of positions possible. The difference between fighting chess and regular chess, well, I don't want to get mathematical on you. I have a degree in mathematics, so I can get really deep in math. I mean, I can throw out equations and, I can, solve really complicated problems that require multiple steps, multiple equations, where one equation will give you one variable that you can plug into a different equation, and on until you get to the final step where you finally have all the pieces of the puzzle, and then you can finally solve for the last letter that you don't have. I can do that kind of stuff. But I'm not going to do that in this video. I will just say that I have a formula that measures the speed of permutation of a board game. And this speed is how it's the key to people being able to defeat computers, in my humble opinion. I think the heuristics that people are capable of using are, I think they have great promise. And I have a cold with the sniffles, sorry about that. I have a pretty good amount of faith in the heuristic ability of people. And with neural nets, they seem to mimic that. Like AlphaZero, it doesn't really learn by brute force so much. It's like a neural net. I don't know. So maybe my theory will be wrong about the capacity of humans, as long as we can use our heuristics and we have games that are that make use of our heuristic ability. Then we should be able to defeat computers. But if computers are using some kind of heuristic method too, I don't know. They seem to beat us in everything now. So, but anyway, this fighting chess will have a little bit faster speed of permutation because its pieces can get around a little bit better than the regular chess pieces. So it will have a slightly faster speed of permutation, but not much faster. Fighting checkers is, I recall it being around 1 order of magnitude greater than fighting chess. So these two are almost the same. But hybrid is a jump up. Hybrid is the next level. I think it was to the 82nd power or something, if I recall. This is like the 42nd power. This was like the 43rd power, if I recall. This is like the 82nd power. And so, so hybrid is a little too much. Dice chess was to the 52nd power. So 42 for its power, 43, then 52. So this is the next one after fighting checkers, dice chess. Then hybrid. Then, Go 12 is higher than tines and bars. So tines and bars would be next. So after hybrid, it would be tines and barbs is the next higher game. And then Go 12, and then Pythagorean tic-tac-toe. Pythagorean tic-tac-toe is the top dog as far as complexity goes. It sounds simple with tic-tac-toe, but Pythagorean, a lot of people have heard about the Pythagorean theorem in math. Well, I'm not going to get mathematical on you, like I said. I could. I was about to state the Pythagorean theorem, but I'm not going to do that. I want people to listen to these videos. As sad as that is. I recall, I guess I'll turn the camera around to me. Stephen Hawking, he recently died. He was the guy in the wheelchair with Lou Gehrig's disease. He was actually a physicist, and he held the Lucasian Chair of Physics at Cambridge University, I believe. And he advanced singularities, our understanding of singularities and black holes and stuff like that. So he was a real groundbreaking guy. And there is a certain kind of radiation that escapes from black holes. At first we thought nothing escaped from black holes, but stuff does escape from black holes. It's a certain kind of radiation, and it's now named Hawking radiation in honor of Stephen Hawking. I started talking about Stephen Hawking for some. Oh yes, as I get older, I have more and more senior moments. I'm 54 right now, so I have little lapses. I still have enough brain power to create beautiful games. I just created this game, Dice Chess, a few days ago. So I'm 54 years old and I created this wonderful game. I'm waiting for it. I already said that. But anyway, Stephen Hawking, he wrote a book called A Brief History of Time. And he said in there that he wanted people to read his book. And so he wanted to have a conversational style with writing it. He wanted to attract the lay reader. And so he was told by somebody, I forgot, I read it once, but he was told by somebody that for every equation that you put in your book, you're going to reduce your readership by half. And so he decided that he could dispense with all the equations except one. He absolutely had to include Einstein's E equals mc squared. He just couldn't get around it. That one had to go in his book. And he said he hoped that his readership didn't get cut in half by the inclusion of that one equation. And so, anyway, I remember that. And so, I will, there will be times when I do a math video, because I do have a math degree. And on these fireside chats that I do, my rating system is a contribution to mathematics. And so I will throw around some math when I do a video on that. But you'll know. I'll say, hey, this is a math video. If you don't do math or you don't want to hear anything about math, then, this one's not for you. But the rest of them, I want the people that play board games and card games, I want you guys to hear these videos because I got some stuff to say. So, anyway, so I'm trying to keep the math out of it. But I want you guys to listen. And I want subscribers. And so I don't want them to run away if they see math. All right. So then, so that's the ranking. So fighting chess, fighting checkers, dice chess, then hybrid, tines and barbs, Go 12, Pythagorean tic-tac-toe. In that order. And so Pythagorean tic-tac-toe is the most complex game that I have. It's fantastically complex. English cannot do justice, I can't say enough superlatives as to how complex Pythagorean tic-tac-toe is. But it is the king of the heap. And regarding these card games, Deep War Colors is the only game I've calculated, and I have found that it's probably twice as complex as chess. These other ones probably are more complex than chess. Well, no, not this one. Not Red Rock, because it doesn't make use of, it only makes use of the value of the cards. So a lot of information is lost with Red Rock. It's simpler. So its complexity by that fact must be less. But this one is higher. This one you can have 3 trump suits. And so this one probably would be the most complex card game here. So, but anyway, so that's my video on complexity. Every one of my board games is more complex than chess. Fighting chess is just a little bit more complex. It's so close to the same complexity that if someone said that, it's the same complexity, I wouldn't argue with them. They're not correct, but they're not correct by much. It's splitting hairs, really. Especially when faced with so much higher complexities of, like a Go 12 or a Tines and Barbs. I think Tines and Barbs is 149 for its exponent on the 10. Huge. Go 12, I think, was about 170, 165, somewhere in there. This one was 200 and something for its exponent. Just a monstrous, monstrous number. It's not as big as Graham's number. I don't know if a human could even understand a game that complex. There is a game out there, though. I'll put a plug in for this guy. I don't remember his name, but his game is called Crumble. 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 He just uses the board, an 8x8 board. And you can cut the triangle in half, or cut the square in half to make 2 rectangles, or you can form 2 rectangles together to make a square. There might be one other move. I forget. But anyway, the goal is to create a solid path, not just a point path, because like between 2 squares, it's just a point, right? And so you have to, when you cut a rectangle or cut a square in half to form 2 rectangles. I think you can cut a rectangle in half, and that would make a square. That was the other move. You can cut a square in half to make 2 rectangles, or you can cut a rectangle in half to make 2 squares, which then you could cut the rectangle in half again. And there's some rules to flip the color. I forget how. There's some rules to flip the color. And the goal is you want to make a path to connect the 2 opposite corners together of your color. That's not just point to point. The whole path has to be greater than a single point. And so that's, in essence, that's his game. And that game, in theory, is infinitely complex, because there's no limit to how far you can go down to cut these squares in half. So he's got the market cornered on complexity. You can't get more complex than infinitely complex. Well, there's different kinds of infinity. There's different magnitudes of infinity, cardinalities. But I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not really qualified to talk about it, other than to say there's different kinds of infinities. And so one could create a board game that has a higher level of infinity than what his game has, and then you'd have a more complex game. But I don't think any infinitely complex game is understandable by the human mind. You can only go down a few levels in his game. You can't go all the way down, 180,000 levels. Those squares would be the size of atoms or the size of strings. Who could even manipulate them? It's just crazy. So it'd still be more than a point, because a theoretical point has no breadth or depth or width. But anyway, that complexity is not breachable by the human mind. So I'm remembering too John Locke's essay on human understanding. He talked about attempting to understand infinity. He said no matter what artifice you use, you're still no closer to getting to infinity. So And there is some truth to that. But mathematicians do understand infinity today. There's even some equations involving infinity. It's pretty frightening. But there is some understanding of infinity. Yeah. Anyway, my games are not infinitely complex. They're bound by the board and the number of piece arrangements. The mathematics to explain my games is called combinatorics. And I've used it to figure out the complexity of my games. And Pythagorean tic-tac-toe is the top dog right now. So, but it's not infinitely complex. It's just not. I guess that's it. So please subscribe to my channel here, Tines and Barbs. That's the only metric that YouTube uses, so if you could, that'd be great. All right. This is Tony Berard signing off.